Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 395. My name is John Morgan. Cold Coffee is with me. We about to change the name to just the MMA Las Vegas show. We ain't going on the road, baby. We home here in Las Vegas. It's 80 degrees. Beautiful October afternoon here in Las Vegas. And God bless everyone that made the journey over to Abu Dhabi. I cannot wait to watch this fight card. But let me tell you, I'm glad I didn't have to travel 26 hours to get there. I'll just watch it on TV.
Hell no.
I know you don't miss it either.
No, I don't miss that one. I mean, I'm looking forward to go over to New York because I actually kind of like New York, so that one will be fun. But it's funny, I know a lot of our, esteemed colleagues love to be on the ground and be there. And it's funny because Jose Youngs, God love him.
God bless
Dude
Jose Youngs.
He's been like, I want to go here. And he bitches every time they don't send him somewhere. So he's like, I'm going to Abu Dhabi. And then immediately travel woes started. And I was just like, see, bro? See what you wanted? You wanted to do this.
If you are not following Jose Youngs on Twitter and following his journey to get over there where his flight kept getting moved and canceled and delayed, and I think he wasn't even sure he was going to make it, and then he gets there and it turns out they confiscate all his gear and make him wait for a couple hours while they go.
I didn't even know that. I didn't hear that part.
Oh yeah, they
I
held
remember
his
he
gear.
said. I just saw that he was saying, I've never been so stressed out. I'm just like, remember what you asked for. I didn't hear about that part, but that's kind of
look. No, listen. You're.
I was going to
right.
rag him about what was happening here because when he canceled his when they canceled his flight, I was like, bro, I got a spare bedroom. You let me know. I'll come. Whatever. You'll get a kick. And he's like, oh, well, Brett's on our flight. He got canceled too, so I'm just going to stay at his place, and his wife's going to take us. I was like, okay, that's cool. Make sure you get some social media pics while you're over there at Brett's house. Here I am stuck in Vegas with ESPN's Brett Okamoto. Like, make sure you get your shit in there.
He big times you, huh?
Oh,
big
totally.
time.
And I was just like, fuck you, the room's closed next time.
Too funny. No, you know what's funny? I mean, joking aside, obviously covering all the Fight Island cards and, the return from from the pandemic and just all that was going on, man. I mean, that felt like an honor. Like, we were actually, covering history. It felt like a special time. But now, it's just a 26-hour journey for 1 week, you know what I mean? And it's a hell of a fight card. But, the other thing,
I'm sure every time you guys were in that bar hanging out, it was just, you guys were like, guys, let's just rejoice again about the honor of being here.
Oh, those
another couple rounds, please.
$12 frosty beverages. Those $12 frosty beverages over there.
Or back when they still had the deal. How about when they had the deal? That was a pretty good deal.
Okay, now when they had the deal, it was all right.
Yeah.
When it was 2 for 1, I could make that. Or when they had the all you can drink during
all you can drink
during the soccer games, that was good. But the other thing,
until you ruined it.
And it was definitely us that ruined it. You know what? It wasn't just us because they got rid of happy hours all through the zone. You know what I mean? It wasn't just at the bar that we went to because it started out on the you know what? Actually, we were the ones on the beach too. Yeah, it is.
It was totally you guys. I love that you're trying to say it was. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it was you guys.
Now that I look back on it, we got happy hour
guys.
canceled in a couple different places.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and
you're welcome, Abu Dhabi folks.
Oh my goodness! Well, yeah, in fact, they're probably rejoicing that we didn't make the journey. Like, thank God that dude didn't show up this time. But listen, we do have some MMA underground representation over there. I want to give a shout out to Abul. He is Abs Talks 1 on Twitter and Instagram. So if you want to follow him, you can see the fine work he's doing over there. He's repping the UG over there, man, and handling some business, bringing us some footage and all that. So
that's cool. It's cool. You guys got some. Is he from England or something?
He is. Yeah. He's from England, and he made the trip down there to Abu Dhabi. Obviously, a little bit closer than making the journey all the way from North America. So we appreciate him covering everything over there, and you can see what he's been doing on our social media feeds and on his own social media feed if you want to follow him there as well. So I just want to give him a big shout out.
Because him and Bond said the same thing. I love it when everybody when they at a media day they answer your question, and when they use the tells me or tells so and so, and I was like, oh, this UG guy did that. He said tells blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna tease him when John gets here, and then I went over to Bond's. Bond happened to do the same thing. I was like, never mind. I was like, all these fucking kids.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, I'll have to coach that one out of them. Hey,
it was kind of funny.
When it's at the media day, they just said it. All right,
they just said it.
You don't have to say they told me. Okay,
we're all just... guys, quiet. Don't pay attention to this. Don't listen to this.
This is only to me.
I love it. It's so funny because I was gonna tease. I was like, "Oh, your guy over there did this," and I was like, and of course, our guy that's been doing it a hell of a longer said the same thing, and I was just like, "Oh, come on."
Too funny. Yes, it's just a media day. They just said it to everybody.
It's so funny.
Okay?
But boy, man, they've been. I love that they brought back open workouts. You know, like it's.
I like the open workouts.
I do too.
I like
and
the open
fans love it.
workouts. The fans love it.
I mean, it's a fan event.
Yep.
I mean, as much as we bitch about, like, especially after, like, that big media day, you're processing all that stuff, and then they're like, oh, hey, by the way, let's go take a ride over to the mall, and then we're going to do this open workout thing where it's kind of a pain, logistics, getting in and out. But in terms of content that's cool, that's different, and that it's ultimately for the fans as much as us. Yes, they want us to be there, shoot it, so people back home can see it, and people back home are like, cool, I actually get to see guys working out and how they look fight week. Or they could do like TJ, which I guess just showed up and threw out T-shirts and called it a day. I was like, hey, Bon, is TJ, we're going to get the TJ video? And he's like, oh, nope. He just showed up and threw out T-shirts. I was like, dick.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, like, TJ, I'm like, that's like your point to me. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, see,
I hate it when fighters, I mean, I don't hate it when they don't do it. They're not obligated. We've seen fighters, tons of fighters over there. John Jones was well known to, like, never do them, at least towards
Dan
the
Henderson
end.
wouldn't do them.
Henderson wouldn't do them. I'm sure there's some
Diego Sanchez would do an hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we definitely got some extremes
you
over
go
the
both
years.
ways. You go both
but it was
ways.
kind of cool. I mean, like, and I just always loved it because it was something different, especially nowadays.
Right.
You get to see a fighter sitting at a desk. Or you get to see a group of fighters sitting at a desk. But to see them actually moving, rolling, you get to actually see how they look during that fight week.
Hey, you know what? If you want to look to the MMA Junkie YouTube page, what's one of the most viewed videos in the history of the entire YouTube page?
Yoel Romero.
The Yoel Romero open workout.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Still constantly. Every month, it gets still like 40, 50,000 views.
It's crazy.
It's so
crazy.
ridiculous.
That Yoel Romero workout is legendary. Most people did not put that workout.
Yeah. I believe that New York's probably going to do them.
Is that yeah.
There's speculation. That's what I'm hearing, that New York's going to do them. I mean, so
if you look at the history, I mean, open workouts were kind of just at first they were almost like educational. You know what I mean? Like they were trying to get people like to see it and what's going on. And of course, it was to drive foot traffic. You know, they always put it in a high foot traffic area where people just walk up and they're like, "What is this MMA stuff?"
This one was at a mall. Yeah, like when you see the footage, it's at a mall.
Oh, it's at Yas Mall. I saw the footage.
Which
Yas
reminds
Mall.
me of like was it Singapore used to always be in
that little base area.
Mall. South Korea did it in a mall.
Yas Mall, that mall is crazy, dude. Like it has 2 Apple stores. It has 2 Burberrys in it. Like it has the highest end brands you can possibly think of, and it has like
2 of them,
multiple of them. Like because you really need that in the same.
You want the Apple Store South? That's clearly just past the food court.
That's when you realize what Abu Dhabi is all about. Like, bro, let me show you what we got. We got the flash.
Now I think about even Brazil. Brazil did it at a mall. Mm-hmm. We did a lot of like UFC open workouts at
the
malls.
open workouts on the beach were pretty cool. Even though in Brazil,
Hong Kong, we did it in a mall.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of malls around the world.
We've seen a lot of malls covering the UFC.
But
so never bought anything except for maybe a drink or food.
Oh, you definitely bought some drinks and food. It is funny because I kind of miss the open workouts too, and I know that, as you said, like some fighters, basically, I think the fighters used to bitch about it because they're like, this is not the time I want to work out. Like I don't want to put in a normal workout because I want to be working. I'm cutting weight. Yeah. I'm doing all this. But it is, man. It's something special for the fans. I saw the fans were booing Charles Oliveira, which, I mean, I don't know how you boo Charles Oliveira, but I get it. It's against their guy. But
I was going to say, it's the same people that were chanting, like, Islam.
Yeah,
Islam.
of course, yeah, of course, yeah.
So,
yeah. It's listen, I'm happy to see all that's happening over there. I'm just happy to see it from afar, and I get to spend some time at home with the family.
So much so.
It's as you said, I'm still. There's no place I'd rather be on Saturday. Once it's fight night, I'll be like, damn, I kind of wish I was there. But taking my kid
really?
on fight night,
sitting at your house on fight night is such a rare treat that I'm like, I love when I'm sitting in my house. I'm just like, this is so cool because it's so different. We're either at the event, venue somewhere, or you're at the Apex, or you're at T-Mobile.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of cool to just actually
watch
be at
fights
home.
at the house.
You know, I'm like, which couch am I going to sit on? Am I going to drink tonight? or am I just gonna have water?
Nah, Saturday out. Saturday, I wish I was there because there's no place I'd rather be on fight night than sitting cage side.
Oh, well, that's good.
But
I'm Mr. Cage side.
but
When you sit in the back of the bowels of a venue, you're like, okay, I could watch it on this TV here in a media room, separated from everything else, or I could watch it at home.
But
or I
then-
could watch it into this basement, dingy, dark place that smells like pee and beer, or watch it at home.
you make it sound so glamorous, man. The life that we live. But
Well, it's just very different for being on site, being next to the cage, and being in the back is two totally different worlds.
It is two different experiences.
Two different worlds.
Now, the benefit of being in the back is that, like, when these
Food.
people have these.
Closer to the food.
That's
Closer to
what
the
I was
drinks.
gonna say. I know we have different priorities. Clearly, what I was gonna say is that these people are having these like the most amazing moments of their lives. These victories, they're at like the highest of highs, and
yeah.
you get to talk to them, and you get to share in that joy and that
I get to
journey
watch you
with
have
them.
while eating food. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not.
Man.
That's why it's so funny. Because a lot of times when I'll text guys on fight night when they're on the road, the first thing I ask them, I'm like, so what's on the menu? And then I'm like, okay, so how's the turnout as well?
So ridiculous. I think you used to like put all that stuff on social media, right? Like you.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Or I'll have people send me pictures of like, yo, send me the menu. Send me some shots.
Oh, dude.
Kind of funny. Yeah,
That's
when they were in
hilarious.
London, that was the first thing I sent to Oscar and them. I think I sent it to somebody and they didn't respond, so I went to a different media member and was like, "Yo, I'm not getting a response from so and so."
People looking there like, is this dude serious? Like, I'm here to work right now, and he wants me to go take pictures of the media spread?
Send me the food.
Oh, my God.
That's the stuff people really want to know about.
All right, UFC 280 is this week. It is a loaded card, man. This is one that I'm really, and I think this is another reason I know I'll be sad on Saturday because this card is stacked top to bottom. Although I will say, 281, I don't know if there's ever been back-to-back pay-per-views in a row that have this feel where it's two things, right? It's one thing to just have a stacked lineup, right? When you have these pay-per-views, and the UFC I think is stacking these pay-per-views a little bit more, right? I mean, we're seeing, because the fight nights are, a little bit watered down, or they're not as worried about making sure that those are loaded with big headliners. Like, we talked about it before. Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady could easily be a headliner on a fight night. Caitlin Chikagian, Manon Fiorot could be a headliner. Benil Dariush, Mateusz Gamrot, all those could be headliners on fight nights. Peter Yan, Sean O'Malley could definitely be a headliner. But you're putting them all together. So that's one thing. You're loading it up with names. You're loading it up with. But this fight at the top of the bill, man, Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, is such a stylistically intriguing fight to me. It's not only are these two guys on these lengthy winning streaks, not only is it the title on the line, it's just, to me, the styles make this fight damn near impossible to pick, man. Damn near impossible. I mean, if there's ever been a coin flip type fight, man, I feel like it's this one. But I'm just gonna jump into it now, man. I think Charles Oliveira is being disrespected here as an underdog, man. I look, if
By making him an underdog, or how big of an underdog?
No, look again, and I don't want to say, I hate when people say the odds makers are disrespecting. Of course, that means you're trying to get money on both sides and all that. I understand how the odds work, but I'm surprised that he has maintained his spot as an underdog. I cannot believe that more people are not jumping on Oliveira as an underdog and seeing that line get hammered down to where it's even. Or even he's a favorite.
It's not far. It's not far away.
I'm just a little bit surprised. I don't know. How do you keep? I mean, how do you doubt Charles Oliveira at this point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you're exactly right. And I know I've done it in the past as well. And then I got to the point where I was like, I'm not gonna ever pick against Charles. And then this fight happened, and I went back and forth. And it seems, now that I think about it. No, maybe it's the co-main event. Or no, it's the Peter Yan O'Malley fight in our staff picks that I think I'm one of the only ones that went a certain way. This one I did league Makhachev, and I don't know why, because after going to a point where I was like, I'm not going to go against Oliveira, this is the guy that for so long we've been saying all he needed was a shot to get that title shot, and this is that title shot. And I feel like as much work and as time and effort and everything that he's put into it, this is his one shot. And I think it was probably the same way for me when I thought when Oliveira finally got his shot. I was like, this is what he's been working for. This is
Right.
what he's been working for. How could I not give him that pick? And on this one, that's why I'm going for Islam on this one. And I just think the effort, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I mean, I think Charles got a lot of options to really just be able to kind of, get that striking. His striking is picked up, and we've always said, Islam, when he gets guys down, he's very, very dangerous. But Charles is super dangerous once he gets down to the ground.
Yes.
But it's not like Islam's going to get him down and just try to get top mount and try to play jiu-jitsu with him.
Right.
Islam's going to try to get him against a cage, try to control his legs, and then just get him to where he can't move, and then he's just going to pound him. He's just going to pound him like he's done to everybody else until he's able to submit him. Does Charles have better opportunity to defend that with his jiu-jitsu? For sure. But is he going to go in there thinking he wants to knock out Islam and make a big statement, and that's the point where I think he can possibly lose it for himself, trying to make it a striking-only match.
Oh, that's a good point. All right, so here's the thing. Number one, I think when people look at this, a big thing they bring up with Islam is they're like, hey, but who has he really fought? I don't think that's a fair argument, right? Because he was trying to get fights that wouldn't happen. He had big fights that didn't happen. RDA was lined up a couple of times. Benio was lined up. So, you can only face the opposition that's put in front of you, and it's not as if
that's willing to fight.
That's right.
He was the boogeyman.
He was the one that nobody wanted to fight, right? Because he had no name. So I don't think it's fair to say, well, he hasn't faced that competition, so he's not that good. No, Islam is damn good. I'm just saying, Charles right now. And it's funny, man. I get this vibe from him. He's walking around. We kind of crack jokes because it's funny how often he says it. But the champion has a name, and it's Charles. But to me, it's almost become like this mantra, like this Rose Namajunas, I'm the best. It's almost like this affirmation type thing. But dude, he seems to be having this aura around him right now that's just to me a little bit different. And you're talking about finishing Chandler, finishing Poirier, finishing Gaethje. Dude, I think I'm going and listen.
But that's like saying, do you think that Islam couldn't done the same? Finish every single one of those guys that you just listed?
I don't know. Those are tough matchups.
They are tough matchups.
That's why this fight. That's why it's so. Because you're right. I'm sitting here trying to make a case why I think I'm going with Charles Oliveira, and then exactly what you say is, but Islam. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're right. I'm torn.
It's tough. It is tough. It is tough. And I want to. I can't remember how the staff picks because I don't keep the emails.
But you win Islam. You win Islam.
I did go Islam on this one.
You did go Islam.
And it's funny because it might re-up and bite me in the ass because I told myself before when I
never
went
gonna
against
doubt
him,
Charles.
I'm never gonna doubt Charles, and here I am saying I'm gonna doubt him.
I think that's where I'm at. I think I'm still in the I can't doubt Charles phase. I think that's where I'm at.
Which is probably not a bad one. Because it'd be silly for people to say that people are only betting the hype train if they're going for Islam. I mean, like it's
not a hype train.
And a lot of people, if they think that because of he doesn't have the same.
He's not actually Habib. You're just betting him because he's Habib's guy.
I mean, this is the guy that years ago when Habib was still active that was saying this guy is going to be better than me. This is the guy that's going to be a future champ. If the guy that is already in the Hall of Fame before he ever stepped away was like, this is the guy you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to it.
And if nothing, if you don't,
and he's not just talking up his boy.
No, Habib doesn't do that. And even if you didn't want to believe that, just because you're like, oh, he's just talking. How about just the fact that they've trained together since they were like little kids?
Yeah.
How about that?
And
that dude's been going with Habib for the last 15 years.
Right. And who else has Habib ever said that about?
Nobody.
No one.
Right.
At all. He's not just blowing hot air up our ass because he doesn't do that.
Yep.
I mean, like. I've never known Habib to be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to talk up the team. I mean, he'll say how his team helps him to get him where he is, whatever, but he's never talked anybody up like Islam, like the way it is. And I think that goes from probably his father seeing something and Habib saying, you're right. His dad identified something and both of them pushed them up. And then Habib just bought right in because he's like, shit, he's right. Like, this guy's the shit, So, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to give him, I don't feel like I'm giving him just because of the hype or the momentum. I just feel right now what he has, he's just so oppressive. And to your point, I agree. Charles, his mindset is completely just crazy, so super focused. But we've seen a lot of guys buy into their hype a lot of times. And they get caught up in being the champ. The fact that he talks about himself in third person all the time, he's... it's hard to not say that he's enjoying that lifestyle, and hopefully the camp he stayed as hungry as he needed to be that got him to that point, and not just the matter of, you know, just blindly surrounded by guys that are like, that's enough for today, or yes men that
Right.
didn't push him to where he needed to go. Because Islam's going to push him as hard as anybody has ever had. When he gets a hold of him, I mean, he just people don't get his hands off of him,
Right.
you know. And while Charles might welcome that and try to drop to his back, that'll be the wrong move. If he thinks that his game from his back is so dangerous that nobody's going to be willing to want to take him to his back, it's going to be silly. And what happens sometimes when some guys are so good, they try to go to the back.
Right.
They're like, okay, yeah, take me to the ground. I want to prove that you're not that good.
Right.
You don't do that with a guy at this level. You know,
I
It's
kind of
just-
see him losing a couple rounds early, like Islam winning a couple rounds early, and then maybe catching them with something late in a scramble or a transition or something.
if we see Islam get tired. I mean, I think
Oh,
if
I think that
he's
dude's
if he,
getting-
that's the thing. Like if you're giving up a couple rounds,
We're talking about round 7, round 8.
yeah,
What are we talking
it's
about?
not like he's gonna get tired and just all of a sudden be like, oh, okay, I'm just coasting or whatever. I think he's going to be fully trying to go out there and make an impression and try to get him out as quick as possible, just to justify and have people say, okay, people were starting to say this guy is possibly the lightweight goat over here if he gets through me, and if he goes out there and smashes this dude, all that talk's gone, and then people start doubting, which would be silly to doubt Charles.
See, he told you he was never that good.
Yeah,
Exactly. I told you he wasn't very
this
good.
guy, didn't this guy lose?
He
to,
got lucky. He got
yeah.
lucky 11 times in a row. All right, listen. Love this main event. I mean, the winner of it is you got to have respect for him. I mean, this is a phenomenal match. That's what everybody's excited. What about this Alexander Volkanovski serving as the backup thing? Because I got to be honest with you. I mean, okay. Remember, first of all, think about what the UFC is doing. I mean, we know that the UFC is contractually obligated to have 2 title fights on the card when they go to these pay-per-views, which was something we've never seen written into a press release and made public before, but they did when they announced it. They said this partnership, 2 title fights per pay-per-view, so they got to have it. They got to have a backup in place. So no problem with that. I get that. I totally understand it. But for Volkanovski to be the backup, I think it shows to me that he's a gangster, I guess, that he's willing to do that and go say, I'll fight the winner. But it just seems almost like a silly situation to have him in. Like, the dude just got cleared to fight. Like, he's just coming off an injury on his hand. And now we're talking about how dangerous these 2 dudes are. They're both up a weight class from him, and he's not even big to begin with in terms of, like, height and range.
I was gonna
And,
say, in terms of height, memory, what did he used to be? 225 or
yeah,
something?
215, 220, I think, when he in his rugby. He's thick. He's thick. But it just seems, I don't know, it just seems weird. Like, I would almost feel like, I think I would almost feel robbed if he stepped in and, like, he's a top pound for. I want to see
we've
him.
said that time and time again. Anytime they step outside of the division, when there's somebody that's right there that shit is deserving,
Right.
which is like what Dariush is.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
But I think even if as a fan, I would kind of feel robbed. Like, it would almost be like, okay, like, if there's this build-up, Volkanovski's preparing for one guy or the other. He's in training camp for all this time.
Yeah.
Like, he's going for 2 belts. Like, this is amazing. It doesn't feel like it would be that. It would just be like, dude, we were getting ready for this awesome fight. Oh, but now instead we got the number 1 pound for pound Volkanovski guy going for a second belt. I mean, that's cool.
it is.
It would
There
feel
are no
weird.
unless I'm forgetting something. There are no double champs right now. The UFC does like the double champs.
Amanda Nunes would beg to differ with you, although I guess I don't know how much. I mean, I don't know how much you count the 45
That
belt, but
45
it's
doesn't exist
still
anymore.
there.
I know, that's true. All right, so I guess we'll give her that one for that division that doesn't fight.
She's the 145 champion. Like, I'm the champion of the
I thought they just
underground.
retired
I'm
that
like
way.
the underground staff pick champs. That's what it's like being the 45 champ. Like,
She's like,
but there's nobody
There's
else.
no one there. Wait, let me pull up that category on the UFC page.
Oh,
do I see anything?
That looks
Let
so
me-
dumb that they have it there. There you have it.
I mean, it's just I get it where they want to keep another potential like a champ versus a champ. They always love champ versus champ. But even this, I mean, the interim versus for this vacant, you got a guy that's worth this. You got Aljamain, you got Peter Young, all these former champs. I think they still put so much value to a person that was a champ or has a champ, as opposed to this perennial contender that's right there
Right.
that should be the rightful guy to step in. But I mean, who doesn't love a champ versus a champ, stepping in and let alone Volkanovski. He's just got that. He's got swag. I love Dariush.
Volkanovski.
I love Dariush.
I love Dariush too.
But Volk's just got a swagger, man, that would be so fun to just see him be able to step in and actually try to do something.
But wouldn't you want to see it like on a full training camp, on a I'm only getting ready for this guy kind of thing. You know what I mean? This just feels like it would be. You see what I'm saying? Like I just feel like it wouldn't get the build and the and even
So
him.
it's like you're saying he doesn't train when he's not in fight camp. So is John Morgan saying Alexander Volkanovski doesn't train? No.
Clearly, as a backup, there's no way he's been in the
no
gym at
way
all. Like he's just sitting at home cooking, doing his cooking segments, cooking with Volk. But I mean,
just eating that Vegemite stuff.
Clearly that's all you do down there in Australia. You just eat Vegemite.
Pet koalas, eat Vegemite.
Oh, another
and have
pastas. So ridiculous. I don't know. Like that to me would be like a fight that needs to be built and that we need to lead up to. Not like, oh, by the way, in 24 hours, the number one pound for pound guy is on the card. I don't know. Just
it's not like he's going to talk smack. It's not like we're going to get a whole bunch of smack talk out of like a full fight camp. But I get it. If you don't want to have any excuse to say, okay, he wasn't fully ready, he wasn't fully prepped or whatever. But in the same sense, if Beneil was it's not like he's been training for any particular person either. So nobody's been.
But with that, I feel like it's like, dude, this is your chance. You got to seize it. You know what I mean? Where if you're already a champ to move up a division, this isn't really your like. Why is the dude that's a champion in another division, the number one pound for pound guy or whatever? Like, why is he the one that has to step in on 24 hours? I don't know. I don't love the situation, I guess. But I'm not taking away from Volkanovski. You know what I mean? But you know what the good news is? Nobody's gonna miss weight.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Nobody's gonna miss weight.
What happens is it doesn't matter.
No. And look, I still
could it?
I still am not convinced that Charles Oliveira missed weight last time. Like I said, I mean we've talked about it ad nauseum. I don't want to go into it, but I will just remind people what I was told from people that were with him was he went, sweated during that hour, peed during that hour to the point that like once he peed, everybody was like, oh. Like people were like actually cheering his pee because they were like, yes. And then he comes down and weighs the exact same thing, which is physically impossible. So anyway, I think it was a scale a malfunction. I won't even say it was an operator error. Which, those things they don't work sometimes. I think this scale in Abu Dhabi is going to work just fine.
I should hope so. Hopefully somebody doesn't like as he peed and whatever, and he was walking toward the scale. Like, here, bro, here, you worked hard. Here, have this drink of water before you get up on that scale. You look parched.
Take some of this Monster Energy water.
Have this Monster Energy. You look parched, brother. But you're right. I mean, oh man, how terrible would that be if people would just be calling shenanigans? It would just be a nightmare. But I would think, both fighters. I think anybody, if you're going for belt, bro, come in a pound under. Don't even try to hit that champ weight 35, 55, be 34, be 54. Don't mess around. Don't mess around. Don't try to play the 55s because you're right. There could be scale weird shit going on. Go early. But yeah, I hope there's nothing.
Well, knock on wood.
I know. I kind of forgot all about it. And then you brought it back. I was like, oh fuck, did we just jinx it? We just put that out in the universe. But
I mean, here's a question for you. There's a vacant title on the line, right? I mean, if Charles Oliveira misses weight,
somebody could swap in.
Do they even put in Volkanovski, or do they just leave the fight the same? Like, would you put Volkanovski? Like, would you only put Volkanovski in if somebody gets hurt, or because it's not like you'd be stripping.
Still only one person would still be eligible.
It'd still only be Oliveira eligible to win. So you would. So you'd go ahead.
Still swap. Because you want the winner. You want
to walk away with the belt.
Walk away with the belt.
To not still have a vacant title.
That's it. Because then it's like, what's the point? We're still vacant. You're like,
why did we do this whole thing and we still don't even have a champion? Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There's every possibility that Beneil will still try to get to 55. Because what if Volk can't? Say something happens, and Volk fucks up, and he's not able to make weight.
If you're Beneil, you still got to hit 55.
Beneil's got to hit 55 on the nose.
And twofold. Number one, just in case.
Because there's no guarantee.
Just in case.
There's no guarantee.
And number two, just to send a message.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Be like,
I was ready.
I was ready. I was the one that should have been called. You know what I mean? So, you got to hit 55 for those. But that would be crazy if you're like.
Crazier shit has happened. One, even in Vegas when where they have great hotels and they have other stuff, shit still happens here.
Yep.
A lot of the fighters have said like there's times where the hotel, something breaks down with the spa, something, whatever. So even in a location here where you're in the States, you're like, okay, what can happen? Now they're on the road thousands of miles away. Of course, they're staying at these nice places, but shit can happen. I mean, like, you never know what's going on. with gear, and let alone if stuff has to travel over there, even if they're bringing stuff from London over to Abu Dhabi or they're shipping things around, stuff can happen. You
I
know.
know, and look, I'm not trying to jinx anybody knocking wood, but I know, like I've heard, like the dietitians that are helping him cut and stuff be like, I couldn't get the kind of food that we normally get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was surprised. I
Telling
went
ya.
to the market and I couldn't find the stuff we normally use. So you're right. You
If they're
just never
traveling,
know.
I think if you're traveling, especially these places like this, or even doing any sort of international travel or any travel where you're going to be traveling more than, say, maybe 5 hours in a plane, you have to go into that week, I would think, lighter than you normally do, because your body's going to be affected by the travel. And then who knows what's going to happen when you're there on the ground,
Yep.
Just got to be prepared. And then if a title's on the line, bro, you got to have all your T's and slash and your I's dotted and have everything better, because you don't want to have something like a scale stopping you before the fight even starts.
All right, second title fight: Aljamain Sterling versus T.J. Dillashaw. Aljamain was almost. I was kind of surprised to see here a fairly. I wouldn't say sizable favorite, but yeah, I mean it's not a pick 'em. He's up there around -170. I think is what you're seeing right now. I think it's. I mean, I'm intrigued with this one as well because first of all, let me just say, watching the embedded footage and stuff like that, Aljamain is shredded right now,
He
dude.
is.
But I mean, obviously T.J. Dillashaw is as well,
He's
man.
ridiculously shredded
Tho-
as well.
Those
Like,
two dudes are in shape and
oh
ready to go.
my Lord.
But I mean, I do feel like a lot of the things point towards Aljamain, right? Like obviously TJ, he's only fought like once in 3 years. He's coming off the knee injury. He's coming off surgery. It's a lengthy return. Meanwhile, Aljamain grappling, especially, Aljamain's been in form. He's had the competition. His grappling, I think, is on a different level than TJ Dillashaw's. I side with Aljamain here, but is this fight a given to you that like Aljamain's definitely walking away with this, or do you, or which way did you pick?
I lean towards Sterling, but now that I think about it, I mean, I don't think it's a given, because
don't
even
either.
when we seen the last one, I thought his performance over Jan the last time was so much more impressive than that first time around.
Yes.
But there were still glimpses of where you started to see him maybe get a little tired, and he went to the takedowns a little bit too early, and Jan was able to sort of stuff it down, but then Aljamain was able to sort of like muscle out of it and still get the stuff. I don't know what brought that on. I don't know if it's just to a point of Aljo goes in there, and if he tries to use too much force and too much power and too much energy early on, that he starts going to these takedowns and it almost starts to look a little bit lazy. TJ's the kind of guy that, in his past at least, is another guy that has great cardio, and he usually makes guys pay for it if they start to slow down, if they start to tire. But, like you said, one guy here has been active, one guy hasn't been as active, and even though they both look in incredible shape, Aljo's done the body of work lately. So you'd have to think that guy's cardio and that guy's overall preparedness of just being recent to what it needs to be doing these 5-round fights and other stuff, he's got that in the book right now. And TJ, I mean, you can't take away from what the work he's done in the past. It's not like, he's coming in and he's fresh and this is his first time going for a belt or anything. I mean, he's as experienced as the rest of them, but and he's certainly got that self-belief. We've talked about it over the years, like a lot of people, in fact, the reason I guess I think about this, because even I was reading a quote or whatever that Dana was talking about, different people have gotten popped over the years. TJ's the one dude that, kind of stood up and took his strokes for doing the wrong shit, and I've always admired that, he went out there and faced the music for fucking up and taking shit he shouldn't have. So he's never sugarcoated his career. He's always, just kept his nose to the grind and did the work. So I'm assuming he's going to come here as prepared as ever. So I think Aljo is going to have a tough, affair ahead of him. That being said, Aljo, man, he's just been a specimen lately. That last fight, whereas I was a little bit like that first fight against Jan. I was just like, wow, who is this Aljo cat, man? He just didn't look like himself. It was like, what version of this guy showed up? And then the original Aljo that we thought we knew was in there showed up for the last one. And if that guy shows up, TJ's going to have a hard night ahead of him. I think TJ's going to give him some good moments. Aljo better not think that he's just going to eat TJ's strikes and punches without repercussions. If he doesn't keep his chin tucked, TJ could hurt him. He
Yeah.
can hurt him bad.
Dude, when TJ's at his best, he
Yeah.
can absolutely beat Aljamain
His
Sterling.
striking is fucking
But we
nuts.
just
He's
don't
got
know.
great power.
Can he still be that guy, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He just came
Especially
back
as
from
it
the
gets
lengthy
further
layoff,
on,
and then has another surgery in between,
Yeah.
another lengthy layoff. And it's just, and listen, I'm with you in that I do, and I know a lot of people get mad at this, and that, like you said, that TJ, it's not fair to give him praise for manning up, but it is the way we want to
Yeah.
hear it. You know what I mean? Like, even one of the legends of the game, Anderson Silva, like, I just hated the Thai sex pills
Yeah.
and stuff. You're like, bro, just say you were 40 and you were like, you're like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it doesn't make the cheating okay, but at least moving forward it's okay. But even if you say that you say, hey, I respect TJ for owning up to his problems, it does still allow you to have that question. Now, I know he says it was only that one time, but are we sure it was only that one time? We don't know for sure. So, I don't know. I lean towards Aljamain here, but I agree with you in the fact that, like, you cannot look at this as it's just some guarantee. And
No.
if TJ is on point and executing, he can absolutely beat Aljamain Sterling. I just don't know if that guy is still that guy. And I do think all the things you said about Aljamain, man, it's just physically, just looking at him, mentally, like listening to him, seems like he's dialed in, man. Seems like he's dialed in.
He's got to watch it. I mean, if anybody doubts TJ, even just for the fact of, like, I'm not sure if he's going to make it into the championship rounds, with his power, if he's firing as he can, and if Aljo doesn't pay attention, the fight could be over before it ever makes it to the championship rounds. So if people think that TJ doesn't have a chance in this, I mean, it's just silly. It's silly. I mean, power can keep you into a lot of fights once that power starts to wane, and then it's just going to be, it will come down to the cardio, and it will come down to who's in the better shape, who's more prepared. I can't remember what TJ's always said about, like, ring rust. It's not like it's been forever since he's fought, but there is definitely something about being ready, like Aljo has. But man, when I've seen footage of TJ training for this, man, he looks good.
Insane, man.
He looks ridiculously good.
Both these guys.
So I mean, like, in terms of competitive, and I don't know, this might flame me for it, but if I had to pick between the top fight, the main event, and this event, as for which one's going to be more competitive, in my mind, I feel this is going to be a more competitive fight than the first, than Makhachev.
So you got Islam just going out there just
not
smashing
him, not smashing him, but I mean, it's either going to go. I think there's the much more potential for the fight to go one way or the other in that particular fight. I think Islam's either going to go out there and do what he does, or Charles is going to go out there and catch him with that and do what he does. This one is much more even, I think, between the two of them. I think neither one of these guys is just going to immediately go out there and just. I don't think even though while I give TJ a lot of credit for his power, I think while he can hurt Aljo will recover from it unless he gets him with over and over. I just kind of feel like overall when I look at these two, this one has the makings to be, I think, more competitive because they're more evenly matched in the sense of neither one of them is so completely strong in one particular area that it's going to completely overwhelm the other one.
Interesting.
I think Islam, with what he can do with his ground game stuff, I think he can completely overwhelm opponents. Same with Oliveira. He has good striking, but when he gets on the ground, can completely overwhelm his opponents. I think TJ and Aljo are just much more closely matched. I think it usually comes down to who wears down their opponent more so, and then the rest of their game overtakes them.
I like it. I see what you're saying.
I could be completely crazy.
Let me ask you where you feel the competitive level is on this, because
this one's tough.
Peter Yan and Sean O'Malley. Look. I'm sorry.
I look like the crazy person in our, and I'll let you set it up. But like when it comes in terms of our staff picks,
you went O'Malley.
I went O'Malley,
bro. This line to me at plus 255,
it seems
has been jumping out to me from the start. I kind of support you there, man. And again, it's hard to go against Peter Yan when you think about how good he is. But when you think about Sean O'Malley, man, I just think about, okay, Peter Yan, just that insane striker, or like, are you gonna? I think Sean O'Malley can match the speed. I think he can match the movement. I think he's got better length. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he's gonna have that advantage there. So I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you on that.
It was the jiu-jitsu and that kind of swung it for me, and I just it was crazy because I didn't. This is one of the ones I didn't really look at the odds beforehand because sometimes I look at the odds and sometimes it sways me, and I didn't want it to sway me. I wanted to just let the past couple fights weigh in on it and what the overall skill set. And I just feel like you said, I mean, Jan's got just great stupid power, and he's got great striking, but O'Malley's got these angles and weird shit that he comes out with his striking that just catches people. But his jiu-jitsu is fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, if he's able to get a hold and just get guys down, man, he just gets shit. We've seen him submit guys at different submission matches that I was just like, wow, I didn't know his ground game was that good. So I mean, I could be silly when I started looking at our staff picks heavily. Jan. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if I saw anybody else pick O'Malley.
You might be on an island by yourself.
I might be on an island.
You're
by
on Sugar
myself.
Island?
I'm on Sugar Island. And it's a colorful motherfucking island, and it smells like weed.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm dude. I'm
So
gonna be honest
are
with
you
you.
lean? Are you gonna pick up? I mean, I know you guys are getting ready to start your picks, and you're the only person picking over there. Are you willing to say that you're O'Malley? O'Malley's your pick?
This would be a tough one. This would be tough because, and this is the hard part of the picks contest, right? Is like when you start getting late in the year,
Yeah.
and you start playing the game, and I think it's really dangerous to play the game about, well, if I just pick what everybody else is, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
then I think you start really second guessing yourself and being dialed in on fights. But I would think it might affect me where I said, but you know what? I think I might. I just.
Because
Maybe that's crazy, man, but I think I would go Sean O'Malley, man. I think I would go Sean O'Malley.
Because just like you said, this is one of those ones where you can almost pad your lead, or I give it up.
Right.
Like the number 2 guy, which is Abby right now. Got to give it up for the video
Shout
guys.
out to the video team. Shout out to the video team.
He picked 2 different ones that I did not pick on this one, and
What's the lead right now?
5.
5. So it could go as low as 3, or it could get as
be
high
down
as
to 3,
7.
or it could be as high as 7.
Wow.
I'm hoping on 7. But the 2 difference was this one I took O'Malley, and we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Yep.
But was Chukagian against Manon Furo?
Which way did you go?
I did not take Chukagian.
You took Fiorello? Oh, that's another tough one too. Because listen, man. Okay, so meaningful fight. Katlyn Chukagian versus Manon Fiorello. I've been high on Manon Fiorello since I first saw her. I think she's the real deal. And to be honest with you, that's another one where my pick is probably Manon Fiorello, right? But that's another one where you realize who you're picking against. You're picking against Katlyn Chukagian, who beats everybody except the champion. You know what I mean? And I know that she gets hate, and people don't like her, and people don't like her style, and all that.
She's like the perennial contender.
She's
always right there.
But I do believe Manon Fiorello has championship potential in here. Now, obviously, that means you got to beat Valentina Shevchenko, which is incredibly difficult. So I would probably side with you. So you went Fiorello, and he went Chukagian.
Yep. A lot of people went Chukagian.
Well, you know what I like to see?
Really
I like to see the respect for
that.
Chukagian. I like to see the respect for Chukagian.
I do too, and I think I probably would have in other cases. I probably would have, and I think I have picked for her in a lot of other ones. But this is like one of those ones. I mean, I think just watching Manon lately, it was just like, wow, she's just on the rise. And well, they're both fun in interviews. Sometimes somebody says something fun in the interview, like, all right, I'm going to ride her for coattails for a while, and it just happens to be her right now. I mean, like, no offense to Chukagian, because I think she's still a stud of a fighter.
She is.
I just think in this one, I don't want to say it's not her time. I feel like she's going up against another person that's just shooting to the top.
I will say shout out to Chukagian for and I'm sure she knew this was the matchup they were going to give her, but when she was like, that French chick can get it, I thought that was awesome. But you know what?
She's getting it.
She's getting it. I like Manon Fiorello a lot, and I really do. And I don't want to take away from Katlyn Chukagian, but it does feel like Manon Fiorello is kind of like that new generation of I don't want to say a Katlyn Chukagian. I mean, Chukagian has a lot of grappling that we don't see, but when you think about the speed and the power and the movement and everything on the feet, and kind of that karate style or whatever, I kind of like Fiorello as well. So I kind of side with you there.
She's given up a little bit of height difference, a little bit of reach. 2 inches on the reach and an inch on height, but granted that doesn't really mean much, or an inch or 2 on height. But
I hadn't seen them stand side by side yet. I didn't realize that.
I mean, I think Chukagian's going to look a decent bit bigger, at least height wise. But I mean, we've seen tons of smaller fighters.
Of course. And I
Doing
think that
whatever. But Caitlin's looked like that against people that she's lost as well. In
Yeah.
fact, I think against when she fought Shevchenko, she looked like the bigger fighter. Of course, she looked bigger when she fought Andrade. Didn't help her in either
Didn't
one of
help.
those cases,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I mean, she lost to Jessica Eye too.
It's crazy. It is though when you look the losses. Jessica Andrade, champ. Valentina Shevchenko, champ. You're right. The split decision of Jessica Eye stands out, but it was a split decision.
Yeah.
And then the other one, Liz Carmouche, split decision way
Carmouche
back in
beat-
2016. And look at what Carmouche is still accomplishing to this day. You know what I mean?
Still beating the ladies out there.
She's an absolute stud. So it does seem is a tough one. That it's like why am I picking against Chukagian? But
And that's the thing. If we're wrong, it's not like I'll be sad, and it's not like I'm like, oh, her opponent just, Manon had a bad night. No, it's like Chukagian does what Chukagian does, man.
I don't want to say this, man, but if for whatever reason Abby does pick up these 2 picks on you, you're gonna look back at this and realize you picked against 2 people ranked number 1 in their division.
Yeah.
Jan is number 1 and Chukagian is number 1. But I'm with you.
But
if
I'm right, then they're like,
Then-
that's why he was the champ that year. That's why he was the champ
if
this
you're
year.
right, this could be. I mean, did UFC 280 just get more exciting or not? Because the MMA Junkie stat picks pivotal.
This is a big moment.
Pivotal
right here.
in our quest as the MMA Roadshow to have a
I'm
3-year
so
domination.
close to being the first 2
Because you won the year before me, right? And then I won? Or was there a year in
Simon.
between? Oh, so
I won, and
okay.
then I took second place, and then
So
you
there
won.
wouldn't be so it wouldn't be a 3-year run
No.
of domination, the MMA
Simon Head
Roadshow
got in there.
franchise. But you know what? Simon Head's Roadshow too, as far as I'm
there you
concerned.
go.
Simon Head's Roadshow. We're going for a 4th consecutive year of
I like it. I like it.
I love it. All right, hey, let's talk about Dariush and Gamrot as well, because here's another one that I think, and again, I think that's what's so compelling about this card. Big names, but there's a lot of times when a card has big names, but you're like, pretty sure I know how this is going. Pretty sure I know how this is going. Pretty sure I know how this is going.
Pretty sure I picked against a lot of the higher ranked people.
So did you go Gamrot here?
Did.
Oh, but I don't blame you. But
I know, but Dariush,
I
I think
want-
the last time I picked against Dariush, I was like, that was stupid, Ken. Because he looked better than ever. And now that I remember it, I'm like,
I think, dude,
Gamrot kind of, he had a really close one, his last one, if I remember right. And I can see where a lot of people are like, oh, he shouldn't have won that one. Whereas Dariush went out there and
Sarukian is also a beast as well.
Yeah.
So I mean,
still,
it was a
Dariush
very,
just
very
got
close
through
fight.
Ferguson. It was Diego Ferreira before that. Hot Sauce before that. Man, and how can you not just love Dariush in terms of what you want a fighter that represents the brand, a person that seems like a good father, a person that seems like a good husband,
just
all this other
always
stuff.
has good energy, man. You
Always.
talk to him and you just feel better about life and
I
better.
do. I'm
you know
like,
what I mean?
shoot, I could be I thankful for my job because I get to meet people like this. He's a good dude. I mean, you want the best things for him, so I kind of feel bad that I picked against him. But
It's like, I want the best for you, but the best for me is to win the pick, so I'm going against you. No, dude, that was competitive too. And listen, and Benil, I think, is completely underrated all the time, but I do believe Gamrot is an absolute stud. I feel, Dariush doesn't get the Makhachev fight that he wanted to have because of the injury. Doesn't get the backup role he thought he was going to get. Is always that guy that, when people start rattling off the names at the top of the division, they don't rattle off his name. You know what I mean? So it's just perennially kind of disrespected and overlooked. And yeah, I would love for him to win this fight.
He might go out there with a big chip on his shoulder because of that as well. Which, and this fight for sure was one that I was on the fence. This, we still have the right all the way up to Friday, before that fight night to switch it. Depending on how he looks the rest of the weekend, depending on how they look on weigh-in day.
Which weigh-ins I think will be tomorrow night around 10 p.m., Thursday night around 10 p.m. for us here in the Pacific time zone. So you'd still have all day Friday, or at least the Friday morning to kind of get
I'll
some
probably stay where I'm at, but man, I do remember feeling after that last one, I was just like, is Mateusz really all that? I know he's a badass, but I'm like, there were just glimpses. I was like, man, did I buy into the hype? This is one of those ones where he has to be on his complete game because Benil is nothing but at the top of his game. I mean, there was a reason why that guy could be the backup for the title because he's completely deserving of being in that position. Um, yeah, I don't know why I picked against him.
Now you're second guessing that
Yeah, I am now. I'm starting to second guess myself. Yeah. I'll just have to see how they do on the way. And plus now I'm just like, but this was one that Abby actually picked the same one as me, so this one isn't in jeopardy in that sense. So I'd hate to give him a third fight that could possibly overtake me if I switch pick to Dariush and say Mateo come out there and does what I think he's gonna do. Um, that's why it sucks to the end of this year. It's like, can we just get to the end of the year?
I know.
I just want to get to the end of the year.
The year I won, I was doing the same thing. I was like, bro, just actually, you know what?
So many picks.
You know what?
There's so many picks.
The year that I won, I just basically started turning mine in first, like just so I didn't even have to think about it. Like as soon as, I mean, like I would just make sure mine was first. So I didn't have to look at anybody else's picks and then start second guessing myself.
I'm gonna have to look up. I'm gonna look up the rec. I am 175 and 92 this year. The readers are 164 and 98. I'd have to look to see what that percentage is, but it's a pretty good percentage. 175.
65.5%, so 66%.
That's not too shabby.
It's not bad.
What is that? 2 out of 3? So I get 2 out of 3. Right?
Wow, you're really good at math.
I'm not
really
very good at math.
fractions.
Did I tell you when I was in? So when I went to college, like typically for bachelors, you have to do all these, what is it, trigonometry or geometry or whatever. When it got to the finer, the later parts of math, being a Bachelor of Arts, there was the opportunity to do math for liberal arts. So we did stuff like electoral, the formulas that work on electoral college and all this other stuff. So we didn't have to do the crazy whatever. And I was like, thank God. I am not a mathematician. I'll be the first to tell you I struggle with math. If I like it and I get it, I like it, but math was just never one of those subjects where I was just like,
I went when I was going to leave Junkie. I went through all the staff picks so I could find them all just to see my all time. So the year I won, which was 2021, so last year, I was 212 and 118 on the year, so I was 64.24% on the year, 64% on the year. But all time, listen, we started picking in 2013, and from 2013 to 2021. I was 1,325 and 792. So we picked. So this is a cross section of over 2,100 fights that we picked during that stretch, and I was at 62.59%.
That's a hell of a percentage.
That's not bad. Over 2,100 fights. That's not a bad stretch. Right?
That's pretty darn good. There's a reason why the bookies follow you.
Yeah. Now I've actually played any money. Yeah. It's so funny because I don't bet.
And now fighters are not going to be allowed to bet on themselves.
There's no way anybody is going to try to enforce that.
Well, that's going to say, how do you track it? How do you enforce that kind of thing? I guess it's.
You're just going to have to not be blatant and like post your picks.
Don't in your post-fight interviews, don't say about how you bet your salary on it. Don't do stuff like that. Like they'll just have to be smart about it. But yeah, I mean,
kind of like you would never say that, like, bro, I had staff and I still fought tonight, and then.
As he was saying that, I was like, isn't that like a red flag? I was like, what is he saying right now?
I'm not the same thing. I love Ilya TV, but I was like, why are you saying this right now? I was surprised
like,
that. But to your point, I think unless somebody comes out and says something like this is very much just a cover your ass scenario for the UFC. There's
got to be
way.
Just to look good. How can you not have a policy in place where you don't want your athletes to bet on themselves?
And that just
makes 100% sure.
The only way that I would ever have an issue with betting is if you bet against yourself. That's it. If you bet against yourself, you know what I mean?
They're like, you can bet, but you have to submit your ticket so we can make sure that you're not betting against yourself.
Yeah, I just don't believe that the UFC has any desire to enforce this whatsoever. I think it's going to have to be a situation where the only time it gets brought up is if somebody says something like that, like I placed all my money on myself, or like somebody posts a picture of their winning ticket on social media. I think the only way that this ever gets enforced is if the UFC has their hand absolutely forced and they have no choice but to do something about it.
But then Dana just be like, they're fighters, guys. Come on, it's fighting. They go out there and they punch their face. What are we supposed to do with them? What are we supposed to do with them? It's not like they don't already have an athlete code of conduct that seems to kind of go out the window on occasion. They just add this to the list, unless this is something that they're going to make enforced by NSAC or something.
Nah.
I would think they would keep it internal. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's more of a good PR move more than anything else. They got a lot better things on to pay attention to when it comes to a fight. You know, whether they're taking things they shouldn't be taking, whether they're taking something to enhance, whether they're, cutting corners. Do they have a fucking staph infection before they go in there and fight? All those other sort of things that can really affect the person that's opposite of them. Ultimately, when it boils down to it, I mean, betting is harmless. I mean, like, unless somebody's actively going in there. But that goes, most of these fighters they're never going to go in there. One, they don't want to jeopardize their record because they don't want to lose their place in the UFC. And if they're betting on themselves to win, who fucking cares? Every day you go for a new job, every time you go in, you're betting on yourself to do something great. Every day, everybody bets on themselves to go in there and perform good. Why not be able to augment your wallet
Like if
a
you were
little
to
bit?
walk away from a guaranteed position that you had for years and years because you were struggling to take on some additional things that interested you, that somebody in your life was making it difficult, and you decided you would be betting on yourself.
Yeah, that's.
I like things will be better in a new situation. I mean, if anybody could relate to anything like that, but anyway.
Yeah. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It sounds like a story I've heard once.
But yeah, I don't think anybody's enforcing it. Look, dude, we could keep breaking this thing down, but I won't. But Bilal Muhammad, Sean Brady, that's a phenomenal fight, man. That's another one too. Sean Brady, undefeated stud. Bilal Muhammad, a guy that continually gets doubted, that wants to show the world. Who, by the way, a lot of people were saying, "Hey, man, Habib's going to be in Bilal's corner. How do you think that affects things?" I don't think it affects it for shit.
No, but he's in the corner. Because he's not in the ring.
But I will say the fact that they spent time training in that camp. You know what I mean? Of like you're with Habib and you're with Islam as they're getting. I mean, to be training with Islam and that group of guys as you're getting ready for Sean Brady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you were getting ready for some Muay Thai specialist or something, I'd be like, well, that didn't really help you. But you're getting ready for Sean Brady and you're training with Islam and all the Russian wrestlers. Like, yeah, that probably helped you quite a bit. So the Habib in the corner thing, I don't think will be a big thing, but the fact that he was there and preparing there could be big. So Mahmoud Morgan.
Who are you picking in that one? Just because you had to bring it up. This is the only one I'll ask out of the rest of these prelims.
You know what? I think I go Bilal on that one.
Did you?
I think I go Bilal on that one.
I think I went Brady.
Even though, dude,
it doesn't count for staff picks, but I think I went towards Brady.
And it would be much easier because I got to see Sean Brady when I'm out on the East Coast. You know what I mean? I see him a lot, and I got faith in Brady. But this is one of those situations too: the layoff, the experience, again. I think I think I was leaning Brady until I did realize how much time Bilal spent with Habib and Islam and all that camp.
How much time was it?
A couple weeks out there, you know what I mean? So, a good way to...
Enough time to, for something to really sink in.
To really get that grind, you know what I mean? It's not like he's learning wrestling from scratch, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and it wasn't like, hey, he showed up at our gym and then we got like 2 hours of work in.
Yeah, no, like we're in camp together. And with that group, dude, like that's
2
all
weeks,
they
man.
do.
That's like a fourth of a typical camp.
That's all they do.
That's a decent amount.
Yeah.
That's a decent amount.
Mahmoud Muradov versus Kyle Ohio. I love that fight, man. That's a great one there. Volkan Oezdemir versus Nikita Krylov could be absolutely crazy. Zubaira is back against Lucas Almeida. Abu Bakar is back against Omar Gadziev. Armin Petrosian.
They're going to have a lot of fun with that fight.
Announcers just got to be hating it.
They're going to be like, Gio, good job.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's gonna
or
be
Nurmagomedov, at least they're used to saying that one.
It's going to be Abby and Gadzi, dude. That's the go with Abby and Gadzi. Petrosian Dawson could be explosive. Mohamed Mokaev, I mean, if you're not sold on Mokaev, dude, this dude absolutely looks like the real deal. Biggest favorite on the card over Malcolm Gordon, Malcolm Gordon, after some setbacks, has come back and looked good, but Mokaev is just, I mean, he just really absolutely seems like the real deal. Yeah. And it starts out with Hossa and Landsberg. So
yeah, definitely the fight of the night. I mean, that could easily be a main event for my heart.
That's
How do you not love Lena Landsberg?
Such a cheese ball, dude. It's such a cheese ball. I love it. All right, by the way, so listen, all the talk in the world is about UFC 280, and rightfully so. Cannot wait for that card. Early in the morning, it's that special start time. I was talking to our man, speaking of Simon Head earlier, I was talking to our man Simon Head earlier today. We were just chatting it up a little bit. He was saying it's actually a pay-per-view over there because it's in like normal.
Oh, really?
Since it's in like prime time for them.
Suck it,
It's
England.
a pay-per-view for England. So
I heard it was because the Queen died. They finally were just like, no more breaks.
The Queen was
Queen-
the
the
Queen
Queen-
had always said, we don't do
Hey,
pay-per-view.
don't do dead on. And he's like, yes, Your
Was
Majesty.
that really supposed to be an English accent that I just did? I don't know. Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's royalty. She can have whatever she wants. Dana, no pay-per-views. I bequeath you to not have pay-per-views in my country's boundaries.
Damn, it's amazing that you were able to get that audio before she was gone. I thought those were closed door meetings, but the producer was able to secure it.
No.
I did want to mention Friday night and Friday morning as well, but One Championship is doing another back-to-back. But yeah, Friday night is the Prime Video one. And look, the main event, John Lineker versus Fabricio Andrade. Bantamweight title is on the line. Two Brazilian sluggers are just going to get out there and absolutely go after it. So looking forward to that one. You've got the co-main event is a Muay Thai world title, which that means the 4-ounce gloves. So definitely looking forward to that. And then Kato Itolo, who just picked up gold at ADCC, who submitted everybody at ADCC en route to winning the title there. He'll actually be challenging against a multiple-time Sambo world champion for the one lightweight submission grappling world title. So Friday night, definitely worth watching. I want to say it's 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So
that is correct.
5 o'clock our time here in the Pacific time zone. But that one championship card is definitely worth a look. I mean, like I said, throw John Lineker against it. Basically, John Lineker, and if you haven't been following the build of this, Fabricio doesn't have nearly the experience that he does, but Fabricio's been calling him out. He's bigger, stronger, and says, look, I mean, I'm kind of the new generation. I'm heavy-handed. So it's two Brazilian knockout artists, man. And you know, Lineker, though, just obviously has a ton more experience. So a one card that's definitely worth checking out. And again,
and as well as this one, to start it off the evening, Leah Bivens and Noelle Grandjean.
That's definitely worth checking out. That's on. I had a feeling.
Yes.
I had a feeling you'd be interested in that matchup.
I mean, she might be 0-0, but she is 1-0 in my heart easily, and her competitor is right there with her. It's funny, like One Championship sent a message to Junkie, like, hey, you know, I know this is a prospect. She's trying to go in it, but we're trying to round up some interviews. And Simon, the managing editor, posted it to the group. And he's like, I know, guys, short notice, blah, 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 blah. Does somebody want to pick this up? And I was like, me. I was like, if you really want, I can fly out and probably do like a follow along or something.
Never has done an interview ever.
Until this one.
That's great.
But yeah.
But listen, I think, you know, this goes to the point of what I've been saying about where I think one is in a good place right now because, I mean, Lineker versus Andrade in the main event is a great
good
main
fight.
event, right? But then when you back that up with two of the best strikers on earth in 4-ounce gloves, you know, two of the best grapplers on earth, including one that just won ADCC gold. I mean, like, you're no longer just trying to find, you know, in one sport, and you're actually able to take the absolute best. So
yeah, if anything else, they're established themselves as the variety show, the variety combat show.
They're calling themselves now the largest martial arts organization on the earth, and I'm like, that's actually true. That's actually true. Like, that's not just hyperbole. Like, you're not a mixed martial arts organization. You're a martial arts organization.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, card worth checking out.
They are fun cards. They are fun.
And it's on prime time. Did want to get your take on the power slap that will now be legalized. By the way, I know that originally the working thing had been Dana White's Power Slap League. I'm told the actual name that they're going with now is simply Power Slap, so it's no longer Dana White's name associated with it. It's just Power Slap, and it's been interesting because I've seen a lot of blowback, man. A lot of people being like, I cannot believe the Nevada Commission is allowing this to happen, and this is unbelievable. And I will say, I mean, look, you and I, we got to attend the test event. We got a chance to see this thing up front and up close, and I'm not going to lie. I thought it was fun.
I thought it was great. I thought it was super entertaining. I thought the characters were hilarious. I mean, like, it just... anybody and everybody, if you have a beef with somebody, like, it was the perfect platform to settle it, you know? I mean, it was just a lot of fun. I'm a little bummed. I thought they were going to go with Dana White Slap That Bitch as the title.
Damn.
But
Dan, no, Dana White's name will not be involved in it, from what I understand, even though he is part of the ownership group. But no,
but it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun.
We got a chance.
I mean,
to
like,
see
watching beer. I mean, drinking beer and watching slap fights is like the perfect combination, more so than MMA. I mean, like, MMA, I want to pay attention to everything. This, all you got to do is watch two people slap the shit out of each other.
So I've heard a lot of people talk about, you know, the concussion. And I will say, when I was there, I did ask a couple people, I'm like, do you really think this is good? Like, head trauma and all, like that, the thing that we're talking about right now. And at most it's 3 hits.
Right.
At most. So
Right.
if they stick with the rules that we have, which I think they've still been evolving them a little
Right.
bit, but if they stick with the rules that we saw, it was 3 rounds.
Right.
1 slap per round at most.
And there was a certain amount of time they had to recover.
Right.
So you could take a good solid shot. If you can't get back up, it's done.
It's done.
In MMA and any other sports, I mean, boxing, that you get a 10 count.
Right.
In MMA or other thing, your opponent's jumping right on you. So I mean, if somebody would say, "Oh, well, this is worse than like a shot that's going to happen in MMA," it's not really.
I don't
You're
think so.
taking one shot, and then you have time to recover. And if you can get yourself up and recover, you're still in this, and then you can continue. If you can't, you're knocked out.
Yep.
It's considered a knockout, and you're done.
And the thing is, and I do think it's an important part. And Jeff Mullins said it when they had the hearing, is that like, listen, we think this stuff is going to get done, and it is. I mean, there's been people that they're like, we think it's going to continue to get done. And if it's going to happen within the state of Nevada, we want to regulate it because they are going to send these guys to the exact same tests that all the mixed martial artists do as well. So all those MRIs, the MRAs, the brain scans, all that stuff, they're all going to get monitored. If it's not sanctioned, it's not commissioned, anybody can look. The UFC and the people involved in this did not have to try to go get the Nevada State Athletic Commission involved in this. They didn't need to.
Yeah.
They could have just done it.
Right.
I don't think it's a bad thing that they got it. I think it's a good thing because now, if we're all worried about head trauma, and I get it, I asked the same question, but then when I watched it and I realized, I mean, it is only 3 shots, like at most, and if you can actually spin them at that point, if you can be like, dude, you're not, and now you, if you do this, you can't go box, you can't go, you know what I mean? Like, you are suspended from the Nevada State Athletic Commission. I think it's a good thing. And the next time you compete, you're going to have to take a brain scan if it turns out you took too much damage. So, I don't know. I've just found
like
it very weird that everybody's been like, oh, I cannot believe the Athletic Commission. Like, dude, what we do, like, this sport is violent. Like, mixed martial arts is violent. If you're going to pretend like it's some gentlemanly game out there, like, it's not.
Take my glove off and slap you in the face.
Bro, it's dangerous. And so at least if it's going to get medical testing and they're going to have to go through this, I applaud the commission and I applaud, honestly, the group for bothering to do it. And I'm, now listen, if you want to start looking, okay, well, why did they get the commission involved? Well, by getting the commission involved, they know that nobody else is going to come into Nevada and do it because they're not going to go to the expense of having, doctors on hand and you know what I mean? Like,
well, I was going to say that's the big part right there too. Like, taking it to the commission, they're taking it up a whole nother level. That's putting it to the same extreme as a UFC fight. There's going to need to be ambulances on hand. Like, the doctors nearby, they're going to be a need. The whole chain of command, the chain of custody.
Just went through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to make sure. All right, well, if this person's, say taping their wrist or they're taping whatever, how do we know for sure there's nothing, underneath that tape?
Well, because we have trained inspectors
that watched it.
Yep.
Like, there was that recent, that we saw where there was a charity boxing event that happened at UNLV. A student died.
20 years old.
But there were still people that were like, how do we know what happened with the gloves? Did anybody check the gloves? What was blah, blah, blah. Like, the chain of command was broken, so everybody had all these questions. By bringing this in, regardless of whatever, they're staking their claim
find out, like,
to it.
The official that in the ring that night had been drinking and stuff.
And people were saying, like, oh, there was cocaine in the place. That shit's not going to happen if the commission's there. Yes, any bar on any corner of any street could have a slap fight pop up on any particular night. And people find it entertaining. Of course, yes, it's a business. They're going to make money. But if you're going to do it, at least give the competitors a safer environment to do it. And if people wonder, yes, anybody can do this. You're right. You look at mixed martial arts, you look at martial arts in general, these athletes are absolute physical specimens. They've been training nonstop. When we watched it that night, it looked like they were just straight people that are just used to brawling. In fact, the hardest slap, maybe the hardest and most effective slap that we saw, at least that I remember that night, was from one of the smallest guys. He generated the most power, the most speed, and he had the most personality and character.
And they said, if you remember, they said that because they did a closed door event and they did an event where they had us at it.
Yeah.
And they said that dude knocked somebody out at the other one in one slap.
It's ridiculous. I think people, when they see that, I think people like us, diehards, that people that just like combat sports and they like characters, are going to absolutely love this. Yep. Will they maybe run out of those tier 1 characters
Right.
that just have a huge backstory or whatever. Yeah, but that happens in MMA as well.
And I think too is remember this. Like, I don't think this is for us, bro. This, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, they're trying to. This is TikTok generation. This is
Yeah.
shortcuts. Are they going to run out of characters? It's going to be hard, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think about it like. How many like random clips of just random violence do you see on like Instagram where it's just
All the
like
time.
it's just some random ass
But if they
street
put it on
fighter, some
Facebook,
random
Put it on Fight Pass, and I would want to purchase Fight Pass. Would I ever purchase a pay-per-view to watch a slap fight? No.
No.
But if it's part of a subscription where you're looking for unique content that somebody could buy into, I think it's perfect.
I was way more entertained than I thought I would be.
I was so entertained.
It's something about, especially like that tension of like they're like counting it like one,
Yeah.
two.
But it definitely still felt like it was a work in progress. At that point, it still
Yeah.
was a work in progress. So I'm looking forward to see what the later iteration of what this is going to be. But I was highly, highly entertained with what we saw that night. I mean, it
I had
was
fun.
crazy.
I had fun.
It was crazy.
And like I said, look, and I get it. I get all the understanding. I've heard, but you can't. There's no defense. So if there's no defense, like I mean, you're just encouraging brain trauma. That may be true, but dude, there's brain trauma happening in combat sports regardless of whether you can defend it or not.
True.
So I don't know. I'm kind of glad the commission's. I mean, I'm not kind of glad. I mean, I think this stuff is going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm glad the commission's involved in it. I'm surprised they're catching heat.
Yeah. Fuck them. Haters.
Haters.
Come here so I can slap you.
We got our first matchup set up. Oh, man. All right, it's a busy weekend. Like you said, 280 is what it's all about. But I would say if you can carve out some time on Friday night to catch one, I think you got some really fun matchups in there to check on one championship as well. So shout out to everybody that's over there. Again, follow Bull Abs Talks. Certainly, we appreciate him putting in the work. And, of course, if you like what you listen to here, make sure you log in. Make sure you rate us, review us. We always appreciate all that support. And, of course, if you can take your game to the next level, Patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow, where for as little as $3 a month, you can sign up to help support the show. And, of course, you will get exclusive access to the and a half episodes that we do after every UFC event, as well as a direct line to myself and Cold Coffee.
Yeah.
More of a direct line to Cold Coffee these days as I'm running a one-man shop over. But, hey, now Cody Merrill's helping me out a little bit. We got a Bull in here. So I'm starting to maybe earn back some of my time a little bit, and hopefully I can engage with the audience a little bit more. But for now, Cold Coffee will definitely be there for you.
Well, when you do get back over there, you have to make sure you send James or Cali Gold 323 a big hello for jumping on board at the $10 star level.
What?
You are the man.
$10, man. I'll give you my phone number, man. You can call me up.
Just call him up and say what's
anytime.
up. And we're gonna give props to Adam Snowball who re-up for the yearly.
Oh, for the year?
For the year. So
would you get a little discount?
You get a discount.
Thank you, Adam Snowball.
That's a smart man, right
He's been
there.
a prior supporter who had to step away for a little bit. Now he's back in the game.
He's back in the game.
Certainly appreciate that. And
and that's the thing. You guys can do the yearly one. It's like a 10% discount, 15% off, I think, or something like that. So smart people we have listening to us. But yes, welcome to the fold, Cali Gold 323 or James, which is his email. So
he's like, bro, don't.
But I'm like, are we supposed to call you by your username? I mean, he didn't put he put Cali Gold 323.
Why are you blowing up the spot, bro? I didn't want anybody to know my name is James.
My bad, Cali Gold. He sounds like a stripper. Are you a stripper? He's like, I'm just straight stripping. 323 days out of the year. The rest I'm off. Cali Gold. That sounds like it could be a strip club. Sierra Gold, but in Cali.
I like it. Patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow. We always appreciate that.
We love stripper money.
There.
We like
we'll take stripper money.
We like the singles.
Hey, I got no complaints whatsoever, man. We appreciate it. Hey, last thing I do want to give a shout out, especially because I just think it times in so well. All this talk about Conor McGregor and what's going on with his testing and all that. I mean, and I've laid out what I think about it. So if you want to hear that opinion, check out the old shows, and I'll just say, just make sure we get 6 months of testing. But I just want to say, John Hathaway, your long-lost relative, picking up the win this past weekend. First fight since March 2014. And
that's awesome.
Kudos to him because, I mean, the man has been through a lot to get back to fighting. But I will say, and again, I made it clear last time, just to be clear as I say it this time, for Conor McGregor not being tested, I had no issue with it. I want to make sure that when he comes back, we see 6 months of testing because that's what happens if you leave the pool and re-enter the pool, which I tend to believe is probably what's going on. Nobody's commenting on it. Nobody will admit that, but I just don't think there's any other way he's not tested. So I want to see 6 months of testing. But with all that said, John Hathaway never left the testing pool, and I think that is a testament to him to
That's
say,
awesome.
you know what I mean, that I'm battling through all this stuff, but I'm going to continue to make sure that I stay in there and that I'm eligibly tested, and was tested, was tested along the way. And I just think that's pretty cool that he's like, no, I'm staying in there. You know what I mean? I'm keeping myself eligible. I'm going to continue to prove that I'm a clean athlete. And I don't know. I just think it deserves some kudos that he
We
did
could
that.
be related. My part of the family that came from my Hathaway line did come from over in England, in Gloucester,
Gloucester.
whatever.
Yeah.
Every time I say it, Abby and them they laugh
They
at
just
me
laugh
or
at
whatever.
you.
But
It's
if
no
Wiki is,
cockfosters.
yeah, love it. It's roughly where he's listed at, and Brighton is just like 100 miles away. It's like 4 or 5 hours.
So, wait, from the Hathaway
It could
clan.
quite possibly
The
be
Hathaway-
from the Hathaway clan.
You
My
guys
long lost.
you guys look a lot alike, man. I mean, there's a lot.
Well, it's funny, even though I know it's not like my parents named it, but my actual brother's name is John as well.
That's right.
So it's kind of funny. The first time I saw that back when I worked for the UFC, I was like, no way. But yeah, I mean, there is something. I'm sure we are distant homie cousins.
Well,
we have that same fighting spirit.
you can share in his victory and in
Yes.
and his
as
moral
all Hathaways
integrity.
do.
All right, listen, we've wasted enough time goofing around. Shout out to everybody that made the trip to Abu Dhabi. I'm happy that I didn't have to, because now I'm going to go home and I'm going to kick it with my family. And
That's good.
I'm trying to take advantage of these days before my kid doesn't want to hang out with me anymore. But November is going to be crazy, by the way. I got to get with you and figure out what the hell our schedule is going to be, because I got a lot of trips in November, a lot.
Uh-oh.
But I will see you in New
It'll
York.
just be a lot of solo shows.
Well,
that means
that's
yeah,
great
so
for you to
you're gonna-
volunteer to do that, man. I think.
Everybody saw the all coffee shows, and what a bad experiment that was.
Oh man, yes. All right, UFC 280, one championship. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
Leo Bivens.
Thanks for listening.